Okay, can you confirm if my screen is visible? Are we good to proceed? Is my screen visible? Okay, Shamikta. Okay, Ratna. Let's get it started. So, yesterday we have discussed a kind of application. Based upon the requirement, if you ever had to develop an application where you will collect the details, especially the string details, okay, from the end user. And if we ever had to deal with some bugs, okay, we have understood how to deal with those bugs. So we have utilized most of the methods that we have discussed. Okay, totally we have discussed about 14 methods. So we have applied almost all the methods in the developed application, right? So I hope that this concept is giving you some insights. Now today we will understand some more important cases for the interview room. Okay, you could expect this kind of questions, and this answering these questions will be very easy. At the same time, you need to do some thinking, and you need to do some practice to answer these questions. And always try to practice these questions with pen and paper. Then once you you need to type the program, take a pen and paper and do some practicing. Then you can answer these things in your imagination, just by just with your imagination, right? So let us see some case studies, especially with respect to string concepts. We have already drafted some cases, right? So let us understand one by one. So these cases are really very important. It will give you the deep knowledge about the string manipulation. So stay concentrated, stay focused. Okay, the first case. Okay, the case looks very simple. Okay, here the case says, okay, there is a piece of code. I can say that there are 3 lines of code. Okay, the first line is you are creating a string object by using string literal. Okay, you're not using new keyword and you are creating a string object, right? And second line, you want to do what? You want to find the length of the string, length of the given string. Third line, you are using a method. Okay, this method is little confusing. If you don't understand the functionality of the method, it will confuse you a lot. Trim method. Always remember, okay, whenever you are using a trim method on top of a particular string, for example, if you have a string like Java language, so Java language is a complete string in double quotes, right? And if you observe one thing, there is one space between Java and the language. Sir, no, there is one space between Java and the language. But whenever you are trying to use the trim method, the functionality of the trim method is designed in such a way that it will always remove spaces either in the beginning of the string or in the end of the string. No matter how many separate strings you are creating with no matter if you have many strings with which is separated by spaces, that spaces will not be considered. If you take this as a complete string, okay, the purpose of trim method is used to remove what? Is to trim the spaces in the beginning. If there is any space in the beginning, it will be trimmed. If there is any space in the end, it will be trimmed. But if there are any space in the middle, no matter, it will not do anything. It will not change. For example, the same Java language, if I take like this, okay, I am taking some spaces and I am I am taking a string like Java and I am taking a big space again and I am taking language. And again, I am keeping some spaces. Okay, I am keeping some spaces. And if you identify this, and if I use the trim method on top of this particular string, if I want to use the trim method on top of this particular string, trim will happen for the spaces in the beginning of the string. These spaces will be removed. Okay, and this space will be removed at the end of the string. If you have any spaces, that will be removed. But the spaces that is between these two string will never be touched. Right? If you apply trim method on top of the string, what could be the output actually? Output could be what? Java, right? Java, and the spaces, the space that is between these two strings will never be touched. That will be there, and language. Okay, so actual spaces in the beginning and the end of the string will be removed, and the middle spaces will never be touched. So that is the functionality of the trim method. Having said this, so what I'm trying to do here, so this is the Java language, right? This is a string literal, which is a Java language. So what will happen behind the scenes? We know that already. So there will be 2 areas, as we have discussed, as we have been discussing so far. The string objects will be created in two areas. One of the areas are what? Heap area, and the second area is what? SCP area, string constant pool we say. Like since it is a literal and an object will be created in this string constant pool area, and it is going to be what? Java language, right? And what you are trying to do here, you are trying to find the, this is going to be this object reference variable is s, right? And you are trying to find the length of the s reference variable, length of the s object, right? So this is the s object, and you want to find the content of this length. Okay, how many characters are there, including the spaces? You need to count. You want to find the length of the string, you should not ignore the space. Space is also considered as a character, right? If I count this, Java has 4 characters, and language has how many characters? 3, 6, 8 characters, right? Well, totally 13 characters are there, including the space. Totally we have 13 characters, right? So this is going to return 13. And again, what you are trying to do, you are trying to apply the string method on the specific object to ensure that the spaces are removed in the beginning and the end. Beginning, if there are any spaces in the beginning of the string, that will be removed. If there are any spaces in the end of the string, that will be removed. But fortunately, we do not have any spaces in the beginning. We do not have any spaces in the end. So there is no impact for this trim method on this particular reference variable. Do you think is there any impact? No impact. Only if the spaces are there in the beginning and then that is going to get removed. If not, the output, there will be no impact. Then output has to be the same. What some people will do, they think that okay, there is a space between the Java and the language, even that will be removed by the trim method and the output will be 12, they say. No. Only the spaces in the beginning and the end will be removed. Right? I hope you are able to understand. So let me conclude it. The purpose of trim method is to remove the spaces in the beginning and in the end, not the spaces that is there between two strings. Right? Hope you are able to understand. So let us execute this. Let me copy this to save some time. We should get the same output if our analysis is correct. Yes or no? Right? We should get the same output. So what is the output? Where is the output? Let me execute this once again. So 13, no changes. This has no impact because only if there is space in the beginning. Now you see, I am deliberately, I am trying to add some space, and I am trying to add some space. Now you see the impact now. Okay. Now this will return different value 23, and now this is returning 13 because the length method is considering the characters, the space characters in the beginning of the string as well as the space characters in the end of the string. Right? So it is giving us the value. What value it is giving us? 24. Totally there are 23 characters including all the spaces. After using trim method, this trim method is trimming the characters in the beginning and trimming the characters in the end, and it's returning what? 13. So this space is not removed. Right? Hope it is making some sense now. Right? So this is one of the first cases that we have. Case 1. You keep practicing. I will keep this in the in the description for the reference. Okay, first case 1. Okay, now case 2. Stay focused. If you understand all these cases, then you can answer any interviews on top of Java string manipulations. Okay, what is the case 2? Yeah, this case is very interesting, guys. Stay focused. Okay, and I have a case like a tricky case. I can say that this case is very tricky. So I am doing a lot of manipulations, don't you think so? My manipulation, I am doing a lot of manipulation on top of this particular case. At last I want to print something, the reference variable, the value inside the reference variable, here I want to print out. Okay, then I need to understand the content inside the TA. After this many manipulations, I need to understand what is the content basically there inside the reference variable TA. Right? If you get a question like this, don't get panic. Very simple. Go line by line. What did I just say? Go line by line. First line, let us say first line. What is the first line? The string A. Okay, you are trying to store the string. Let me keep the size small size. Okay, so string A. This string A is getting stored in where? In the TA reference variable. Okay. Next line. What is the second line? Second line as you are using the assignment operator, and first always try to make changes, always try to manipulate the stuff on the right hand side after the assignment operator. Okay, what does it says? ta.concat b. Okay, every time string is immutable, string is always immutable. I have been telling you already. Okay, so the changes will not happen in the existing object, the changes will always happen in the new object. So a new object will be created. Let me create the new object here, and you're doing what? You're trying to concat the literal b with the existing literal a. So ta is holding a and you're concatening another literal b. So this has to become what? ab. Sir, no? ab. And you're doing what? Go to the left hand side, you're again assigning it to the ta. Okay, now ta will refer this instead of this. Now ta will be referring this. So this gets eligible for garbage collection. Okay, the moment it loses, if any object loses its reference, obviously it will get eligible for the garbage collection. Right? So now ta is actually pointing to this reference, this object. Okay, second line is also done. Okay, what is the third line? String tb equal to c. Okay, so what is happening here? There is an object, and that object is going to have a value called c, and this is going to be what? tb is going to be the reference variable for this particular object, tb. Right? So third line is also done, and fourth line, see, you're doing what? You're doing ta, again you're using ta.concat tb. Observe this fourth line, and you're using an assignment operator. Try to evaluate the right hand side. Right hand side says ta.concat tb. But ta is pointing to ab, isn't it? ta is pointing to ab. Every time a new object will be created, right? ta is pointing to ab, content is what? ab, and you are trying to concat tb. So ab plus c becomes abc. Right? And what is the reference variable that you are trying to give? The new object is going to get the existing reference variable, which is what? The ta itself. Yes or no? Because in the left hand side, the reference variable again what? Ta. Right? Now ta is pointing to this object, and this has lost its reference, so this object will obviously eligible for the garbage collection, as there is no reference variable. Right? Now look at the fourth line. Okay, now stay focused. ta.replace. Again you are trying to manipulate ta. Okay, ta.replace c comma t. But there is you need to think one thing. You are just replacing, but you are not assigning. The replacement will happen in the new object always. New object will be created. What is the value inside ta? abc. What do you want to replace? You want to replace c with d. Right? What is the new value that you are going to get in the new object? a, b, d. Right? And this has no reference variable, right? This has no reference variable, so this is also eligible for garbage collection, gc. Okay, so the next line. So ta equal to ta.concat tb. So now you are dealing with ta and you are dealing with tb. You want to concat a, b, c. You want to concat ta and tb. So every time for immutably new object will be created. The value inside ta is abc. The value inside tb is abcc. abc plus c. So abcc has to be abcc concatenation. And what you are doing? You're referring, you're reassigning the new object. Okay, the content, the new object has got created. That new object is going to have the reference variable, which is ta itself. So this ta will be assigned to the new object, right? And this object will obviously get eligible for the garbage collection. Yes or no? At last, there's the last. Okay, ta. You're trying to print ta. What is the content inside the ta? We should get abcc. Do you think we are going to get this abcc? Let's see. Let me copy the case 2. Okay, and what is it? Okay, we should get abcc. If our code is correct, we are getting abcc. And if I try to print tb, right? If I try to print ta, it's abcc. If I try to print tb, it must be c, right? tb is holding the value c. Let's see what you are going to, if you are going to get c or not. Let us see that. Okay, So tb t. So our analysis is correct. This is the case 2. This is how you could practice. So you might be think I have not used heap area, SEP area. Right? Practice will avoid all this. Okay, just the imagination. Imagine one thing. Every time new object will be created. Every time new object will be created, and you know how the references works. So you don't need to think about heap area. You don't need to think about SEP area. Just think about new object is created every time. And also think about the reference variables. If it is getting reassigned, assign that reference variable to new object. If not, don't touch. Right? So we are good with the case 2. I hope so. So we are what? We are good with the case 2. I want you to practice on each and every case. Right? So that in future there will be no case that you don't understand. Case 3. So case 3 is also tricky. When I was taking interview, many of them answered incorrectly. I would say why. Just to understand this case 3. Okay, case 3. What the case 3 says, you have a string, guys. Okay, you have a string. You are creating a string. There are 3 lines. Only 3 lines are there. You might be thinking, what's special about these 3 lines? It is very easy. Of course it is easy, but it is going to create some confusion. Okay, now if you just by looking at this code, you want to answer what this piece of code is going to return, true or false, or what this is going to return, true or false. Right, you will be given an options: true, true, false, true, false, 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 true, false. Right, let us go line by line. Every time, since we are the beginners, we have to go line by line. What is the first line? You're creating a string object, isn't it? Okay, string object, and it is not empty, it has a space here. Okay, so space is also considered as a character. So I am keeping a space. A string object is be created, and this is what the reference variable is str. What is str? Not not the actor str, it's reference variable. Right, now what you're doing str.trim. Okay, str.trim means, so there is only one space here, that space will be trimmed. But do you think that trimming will happen in the existing object? No, because of immutability will come into the picture. Okay, a new object will be created, that trimming will be happen in the new object, spaces will be removed in the new object, but this new object has no reference variable, right? So this new object is going to get eligible for the garbage collection. After this, what you are trying to do, you are trying to print the information regarding the str variable. You are trying to ask the str variable, hey str variable, okay, str.equals, if the value inside the str is equal to what? Is equals to no space. Right, there is no space here, but here we have one space character, but here you are trying to do the comparison, with no space, without having any character, I can say that. Right, it has to return false. Right, and again you are checking str is empty. Str is not empty. Str has a character, a space character which cannot be seen. Okay, it has to also return false. In the both cases, the output has to be what? False. Okay, are we correct or not? Let us check that. We have this question. So in the both the cases, we have to get what? A str dot. Okay, this is small in the lower case, guys. My mistake. Huh? Now it will work. We are getting false, false. Right? Comparison is happening in this object, in the existing object, because the newly created object has no reference variable. So this gets eligible for what? This gets eligible for garbage collection. Okay, what I want to do the opposite. If I do a small change here, if I give the reference str equal to str.trim. Okay, now what happens? You are giving this reference to the original, newly created object, so output will be true, because you are assigning the manipulation to the existing object. So behind the scenes, okay, this str will be assigned to this object. Now the comparisons is happening inside the content of this reference variable. So this object will get eligible for garbage collection. So this will not get eligible for garbage collection. Just by reassigning the reference variable, lot of changes are happening. That observation you need to make when you are when you are trying to guess the output. Okay, that will come only with the practice, right? So I think case 3 also clear, right? And case 4, okay, case 4 is also a little interesting. Okay, and case 4, okay, this is also a very special case. Usually these are easy actually, but the problem is we think everything in an overconfident way, so we get wrong answers. That is the problem. We have to go line by line. Even though if you are beginner or expert, always go line by line. Okay, and what is the first line? Hello Java, right? HELLO space Java, right? So there is a space character here. Just try to observe. In order to keep it visible, I am just keeping a rectangular box here to assume that there is a space. So this is representing a space. Okay, now you're doing what? Second line, you're doing s.trim. So this is yes, reference variable is yes. You're doing s.trim. Okay, a new object will be created, right? And you're applying the trim method for this value. For this value, you're applying trim method. But there will be no changes because of trim method, because there will be no impact, because the purpose of trim method is to remove the spaces in the beginning or the end of the string. So this is going to remain same, right? Since there is no reference variable, this gets eligible for what? Obviously this is going to get eligible for the garbage collection. Sorry, let me repeat this. I can copy this and paste here. Accidentally I did it. Okay, this will get eligible for what? Garbage collection, right? After that, what you are trying to do? So you are trying to call the index of method on top of s reference variable. Where is s reference variable? This is s reference variable. You're trying to call what? Index of space. You're trying to call index of space. What is this index of space? So indexing starts from 0. So h is going to have the index 0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The index has to be 5 for the space. So output has to be what? Output has to be 5. Okay, let us see what if you are getting the output as 5 or not. Let me copy this case 4. Let us do this. So index of, why it is giving me error? Okay, so naming convention. So the output is 5. Output is as expected, right? What people will think, people will always think that the trim method is going to remove the spaces in between the strings. They will have that wrong assumption and they will say that the index of space is -1 because there is no space character. They think like that and they give the answer as -1, right? The trim method, the purpose of trim method, always remember to remove the spaces in the beginning of the string and the end of the string. No spaces in the middle of the strings will be touched, right? So this is the case study 4, and we have another case study, and case study I think you can okay, so this is very special case and very important case for me. Okay, I need the bigger attention here. Okay, very easy case study, but people will get panic after just by looking at this case because it has huge amount of lines. So let me create a new, let me use the new paint brush, and we are going to have, so it's a very simple case, guys. So what does the case says? So this is the code. So this is the code and you have given some options. Okay, just focus here. This is the code and they have given you one, they are asking you to fill this line. It's your duty to fill this line in such a way that whenever you are filling this line, okay, it should print equals. So it should execute this block. Okay, what line you will insert? Okay, what you will replace, what content you will replace for the line number 1, for this line 1. Can you replace A or can you replace B? Can you replace C? or can you replace t? Having said this, after replacing, the output has to be equals. It should get executed. So this is the question. What does the question says? You will be given this code snippet and you will be given some options, and it says clearly that to print equals, which code fragment should be inserted at line 1. Line 1, what you will insert? You will insert A, B, or C, D, such that the equals method, this block will get executed. Okay, hope the question is clear. Okay, now let us try to design the memory level for the first line by line. Always go line by line. Always make sure that you are going line by line. Okay, and there are two areas. One is the EAP area, and the second one is what? SCP area. First line says directly you are creating a string literal, right? So SCP area will come into the picture, and the Java JAVA. First letter is case sensitive, right? First letter is in caps. Just make that observation, right? And so this is what? This is S1, right? And the second line says, so you're using the new operator. For the new operator, object will be created in the EAP area, isn't it? Right? And this is what? Java. And the reference variable is what? S2. Okay, so reference variable is going to be what? S2. Right? And whenever you are using the new keyword for the future purpose, and another object will be created in the SAP area for the reusability. We have seen these things. This will not have any reference variable, but this will not also get eligible for the garbage collection. All the objects that are getting created in the EAP area will never get eligible for garbage collection. You cannot garbage collect it. Will be internally, the reference will be given by the JVM. Okay, so these two lines are completely clear. Okay, this we are done with this. Because of this, these are the changes that are happening behind the scenes. I need to place something here. It can be A. Let me remove this. Let me place A. Okay, what happens if I place A? If I place A, string s3 equal to s2. So reassignment is happening. String s3 equal to s2. So this s2, this s3 is going to refer to the object that is already being referred by the variable s2. When s3 is going to refer to the object that is already being referred by s2. So this is what happens. After this, what you are doing? If s1 double equal to s3, comparison. So s1 is here, s3 is here. Both are pointing to different references, right? If both are pointing to different references, definitely this code will get false, right? It is going to return false. If condition is returning false, else block will get executed. Right? Our output has to be what? If block equals method. Equals should be displayed in the console. So this is not the case. I can conclude that you cannot do this. How I am so sure that I cannot do this? Let me copy this code. Okay, let us execute this by ourselves. The line number 1, I am replacing what? This. Okay, if else. Run this code. So we are getting not equal. So I want the answer to be equal. So this is invalid. I can conclude that this is going to be what? Completely invalid. Right? So case 1 is failing. So this is failing. Okay, so let me remove this. Now let us go with the case 2. Let me remove this also. Okay, let me remove this line for the better observation. Right? Now the case 2. Case 2 is directly I want to do what? Now focus here. I place this on the line number 1. Right? What it says, s1 dot equals ignore case equals ignore case s2. Right? Content comparison. No matter how the case is, if it is uppercase also no issues, if it is lower case also no issues. So s1 is here and s2 is here. Content comparison. This content is Java. No matter how the case is, this content is also Java. No matter how the cases. If you compare the content without by ignoring the cases, it is going to return what? True. Right? Now I can conclude that this is the valid case. Yes or no? This is valid. So option has to be what? B. Right? We are using ignore case method. Okay, how are we sure? Okay, let us try to do this. Replace the line number 1. Replace this with the case that we have here. So it has to be ignored, right? Equals means this block will get executed only if this condition is returning true, right? So our answer is valid. So answer is B. Okay, let us also analyze the remaining two cases for the better understanding. Right, now let me remove this. What happens if you go with the third option, C option? Okay, C option says, okay, this is C option. So you are assigning S2 to S3, right? So this S3 will be sharing the S2. S3 will be sharing the S2, and you are doing what? S1 dot equals S3. Okay, so S1 is here, S3 is here. You are using equals method. Equals method means it will also consider the case. It is case sensitive method. Okay, the case is different. The first letter J is different and the first letter J is different here. It is in uppercase, it is in lowercase. So when you compare the content, even with the cases, it is going to return false. So this is also invalid. So this is going to do what? It is going to return false. So this code will also not work. So where is the proof? Let me place this. Okay, go back to the code. Okay, so S3 string. Okay, what did I just do, guys? I should remove this and replace. Okay, we should return not equals, right? And the last case we have, what is the last case that we have? Let me remove this, not required. Let me remove this, not required. So the case 4. The people think that there is going to return true. Let's see what is happening. Okay, S1 dot 2 lowercase. S1 is here, right? And you are trying to do what? You are trying to convert the content to the lowercase. So it is the first letter is in uppercase. Java, the letter of the first content is in the uppercase. So we are trying to convert this to the lowercase. Due to the runtime operation, okay, a new object will be created, right? And it is going to have what? Java. This Java will become this Java, right? After this, what you are doing? Again, you are trying to convert S2 dot to lowercase. So S2 is already the value is in lowercase. I've been telling you, if there is no change in the content even after applying a manipulation operation, especially for the two lowercase method and two uppercase method, okay, if there is no change in the content, no new object will be created. Only if there is a change in the content, new object will be created. We have discussed this yesterday. Okay, so there will be no changes for this S2. Right, now what you are trying to do, you're trying to compare this object which has no reference variable to this object, right? So both are what, you cannot even compare because it has no reference variable. It is just like a, what we call it as a object without any reference variable. So it has to return what? False, right? So let us see if it is returning false or not. Not equals, false. Fourth case is also failing, right? So these are okay. So if you practice this, I have completed all the top level cases on top of string manipulations, and it's up to you. You need to do some practice. If you practice this, you can answer any questions. Literally, you can answer any questions on top of string manipulations. Okay, there are no cases left, and one more thing is pending. I want you to understand about the concept of immutability. Okay, so what is the code that was drafted behind the scenes for the string class so that the objects remains immutable? The objects remains unchanged. Okay, so my question is, is it possible to create our own immutable class? Yes, it is possible, but the question is how. In order to understand this, I will take a small code snippet, guys. Small code snippet. It is very easy. Stay focused here. Give me a minute. Let me have some water. Huh? Okay. I'm at taking a class like driver class, guys. Class. Okay. Let me keep it in black color. Class driver. Okay. Inside this class, I am taking a constructor, and I am taking a variable instance variables like private, integer. One instance variables I am taking, and I am also taking a constructor driver integer I. To set values to the instance variables, I am taking a constructor. So this dot I is equal to I. Okay, and I am developing a method. Name of the method, I mean, the return type of the method is driver itself. So the name of the method is modify method. Okay, I am passing the integer value to this method. Okay, focus here. What did I just do? Very simple, very simple. Don't get any confusion. I have created a class by the name of driver. Okay, I am placing an instance variable of integer type, and this is the constructor to assign the values to the instance variable, and I am taking my own method. The name of the method is modify method, and the return type is what? The driver itself. What I want to do, for instance, for example, if I am creating an object, how can you create an object? By using the class name followed by what? d1 equal reference variable can be anything, new driver, and you are creating an object by passing the integer value 10. Any value you can take. I'm taking 10. Okay, because of this constructor will be called, right? This constructor will be called, and what happens behind the scenes? An object will be created. The object will be created, and the value 10 assigned, I mean, I becomes 10, isn't it? Or else you can say that 10, and this is going to have the reference word d1. Reference variable is going to be d1. So this is the usual case study. We know this already, how the constructor works and how the object creation will create the object behind the scenes. Right? Now what I want to do, now you see my requirement is, I am trying to modify. I'm trying to modify this object. I'm trying to modify this object. Driver d2 equal to d1 dot modify. I'm calling the modify method, and I'm trying to pass the value 100. Okay, so if I am trying to modify the content of the existing object, I should write a code in such a way that that modification should not happen. I cannot do this. I cannot remove this. I cannot rewrite this with the value 100. I should restrict the modification. That is my requirement, firstly. Secondly, is second case scenario is, okay, if the value is different, if the modification value is different, I need to create a new object, and I need to place the value 100, and this is going to should have the reference variable what? d2. And now look at this third case. Okay, if I'm trying to do what? If I'm trying to do a modification like this time, d1 dot modify 10. Okay, if the modification value is same, okay, if the modification value is same, instead of creating a new object, I should make sure that the same object is getting reused by the new reference variable, which is d3. This is my requirement. Okay, because of a modification, if there is any change in the content, I need to ensure that new object is getting created, and that content should be stored in the new object with that reference variable. Immutability. For the different values, I need to ensure that immutability is achieved. Okay, for the same values, I need to ensure that reusability is achieved. Two different cases. Okay, Okay, for different values, if the modified content is different than the existing one, I should not touch the existing object. I should create a new object and I should give the reference variable for the newly created object to achieve immutability. Okay, if the modified value is the same as the existing value, don't create new object. At the same time, don't touch the existing object, but instead give the reference variable, reusability. So this is talking about immutability. This is talking about reusability. In order to achieve these things, I need to write something here. I need to design a code in such a way that it is achieving immutability for the new values, or it is achieving reusability for the existing value. Reusing the existing object, the value is same, the content is same, or creating the new object if the content is different. Right? Very simple, very simple. How can I write? I need to place a conditional check. What is a conditional check? If okay, the current object, this dot I, the current object is what? 10. 10 is the value inside the current object is 10. If this dot I double equal to reference comparison double equal to I, what is the new value that you are passing? 100. Right? If it is equal, it is what? If it is equal, okay, you will do what? You will return the current object itself. Else, you will do what? You will create the new object. New driver of value. Okay, what is happening here? You are calling the modify method. Okay, the value that you are passing is 100 inside the modify method. You are passing 100. Okay, this 100 will be compared with the existing object, which is what? 10, because you are calling the modify method on the top of what? On the top of d1 reference variable, right? So the value inside d1 is 10. So 10 will be compared with the existing object reference. Reference will be compared with the new object. So both are completely different. Okay, so this block will never get executed. Instead, else block will get executed. So using the new keyword, new object will be created and the value 100 will be assigned to the new object and the references will be given to achieve immutability. So this line, when you talk about this line, you are passing 10 in the modify method. Okay, so this time you are passing 10, right? And 10 will be compared with, okay, current object 10 is compared with the 10 itself. Let me remove this. Okay, and this is what? This is 10. Okay, return the same object, return this means return the same object so that reusability will happen. We will understand this better in this piece of code. The name of the class is driver class, right? I want to create a reference variable private integer I, right, and a constructor. Okay, and this constructor is going to accept the one argument, and we are using this constructor to assign the values to the instance variable. Okay, and I have created a modify method and the return type is driver itself. Name of the method is what? Modify. Okay, this modify method will accept an argument of integer type. Right? I am doing the conditional check to ensure that this method is acting like, you know, acting to ensure that if you are trying to modify the object, if the content is different, it has to create a new object. If the content is same, it has to reuse the existing object. So by keeping that in mind, I am writing the code. I am placing a conditional check. If this dot I double equal to I itself, okay, if the content is same, return the current object. Okay, for the reusability. If the content is different, return the new object for the immutability. Right, now you see I am creating the driver class. Creating the object for driver class, driver d1 equal to new driver, and I am passing 10. Okay, again I am using the modify method, driver d2 equal to d1 dot modify. I am passing 100. Again driver d3 equal to d1 dot modify. I am passing 10. I'm doing the comparison d1 double equal to d2, and I'm doing the another comparison d1 double equal to d3. Okay, so d3 is holding 10, d1 is holding 10, so reusability is happening. So the content has to be, this has to return me what, this has to return me true. Okay, d1 and d1 is holding different content, d2 is holding different content, this has to return me false because of immutability. Okay, this is because of what, reusability. Okay, let us see, or we, if you are getting the same answer, false and true. Right, false and true. So this is the method that is deciding the immutability and the reusability. So in the string class, in the existing string class, every method, okay, the two lowercase method, two uppercase method, whatever the method that you are trying to use in the string class, every method is designed in such a way that there will be a conditional check first, and based upon the conditional check, it will decide whether to reuse or whether to do the immutability. So this is our own method of this is our own immutable method, but even the string class, every method will be designed like this. Okay, if the content is same, return the same object, or else return the new object, so that it can achieve reusability as well as it can achieve immutability. And also we need to do this final. Why final? Because this should not be what we call it as some other class cannot inherit this, to avoid making any changes. So we have discussed this final class already in the in the previous classes. You can refer to that if you have any confusion. So what I'm trying to say is, we have designed our own immutable class, right? So which is deciding that the objects are getting immutable. This modify method is deciding. So this is one of the methods. Likewise, in the string class, there are many methods like this. All the methods in the string class are designed like this internally, so that that method will be will ensure that reusability concept is achieved for the same content, and that will also ensure that immutability concept is also achieved for the different content, right? So this is the code. Let me include this code. Just refer to this video once again. I know this is going to be a little confusing, okay, but if you just refer this for the second time and take pen and paper and practice, these things will become very clear. Okay, do not procrastinate. Okay, do not postpone. Try to complete the revision as soon as possible. Try to complete it by tomorrow itself. Of course, tomorrow is Independence Day, but you will soon get independence from my classes, maybe in a week or in 10 days. Don't worry about that, okay? So is there anything pending on top of string manipulations? I think that's all, guys. Okay, so you can answer all kind of questions with respect to string manipulations. Okay, tomorrow we will start discussing about, I mean not string manipulations. You can answer any questions on top of string class. Tomorrow we have to discuss about string buffer class. Okay, after completing the string buffer class, and we have to discuss about what, string tokenizer. Okay, with this, the complete picture, the complete roadmap of strings will become. Don't worry, this will take only a matter of 2 hours. That's it. Okay, this is going to be just like an half an hour. That's it. So totally the class will be for 2.5 hours. Right. So do you have any questions for me for the day?